Well, hello everybody. I am Chanakya Shukla and I'm back, uh, welcoming all of you. And what I'm going to do today, well, there is something important which I thought that I should talk upon, and it's a very interesting topic that we should talk about it. And it is very recent topic. Recently, whatever you guys must be heard of is going around in India with the farmers protesting, the protest of farmers. So I'll be talking about that a little bit. Not exactly what farmers are saying, so because that will be farmers' perspective. So I'm not the government, so I'm not ready to listen what they are trying to say, and I'm not even the farmer who is opposing the new laws which are going to be there from now on in agriculture practices. So, yeah, but I will be talking about some of the facts related to the farming in general, and let's see where we will take this. So, here is one paper which I have written. It is not a research paper, but it is kind of a research paper. Uh, you can consider it as my research since I am myself, as you can see, I hold a BTech degree in electronics and communication engineering. Other than that, I have a PG diploma in water science and governance. So what we used to study there in the course water science and governance from Terry University, Terry SAS. If somebody do not know, Terry is the only university, the only institute, Terry School of Advanced Studies, which provides the education, advanced education in respect. See, as you can read it here, the Terry School of Advanced Studies is a higher education institute in New Delhi, India, which specializes in the field of sustainable development. It was established in 1998 by Terry. In 1999, the Terry School of Advanced Studies was granted the deemed to be university status by the University Grants Commission. Okay, so these are the following details, and those who are interested in studying further, doing the higher study, they can apply for the admission here. So application is you can apply, I guess you can go to their website. It is terrysas.ac.in, and then you can apply for the admission. And the process is like you will submit your documents, then there will be an interview, then interview followed by a online exam. So yeah, obviously you have to clear one entrance exam, then there will be interview, and then you will be informed about your admission. So I enrolled here as an MTech student, but somehow my research, my project work was is still undergoing process. So still I hold the PG diploma for 1 year. So what I have written, let's come back to that. I have written a paper on the freshwater allocation system and future of marijuana crop cultivation for Indian farmers. So why I am talking about marijuana here? Because a lot of youngsters, pop artists, worldwide indie pop artists, they're highly they're promoting this thing, marijuana, and it is I would say it is subjective, country to country. some countries totally oppose marijuana and it is legal for medical purposes in some countries. So, what is my perspective and how it is good or bad for Indian farmers? So, let me give it a read and let's see what you guys will understand it and what are my perspective and what I think about this. Um Crop cultivation in Indian farmers. And what is freshwater allocation system? First of all, we have to learn this because the farmer's perspective is totally different and the researcher's third perspective is totally different. Industrial perspective is all entirely different. So let's first discuss and being myself, not just an artist, not just a record label owner or something. It is my moral duty. If I have studied something in a field, so I should talk about it and giving it a little priority, even if I'm getting some calls or something. Excuse me for that. Okay, coming back. So, the freshwater allocation system and future of marijuana crop cultivation for Indian farmers, water consumption of freshwater agriculture use. So, with a study with a study survey of freshwater consumption by the water scientists, it has been noticed that among the three major sectors of water usage, namely for industrial use, domestic use, and agricultural use, a major portion of fresh water is used for the agricultural purpose only. This is a surprising figure since we mostly think that industries are using most of the fresh water. Since in domestic usage, we have often faced water shortage at some point personally. Now, when two major sectors are compared, we as a layman think industries are using most of the fresh water. But when we analyze on a much detailed level, we may realize our perception was false. Industries have to follow many guidelines by the water board, state laws, international auditing bodies, and of course, ruling government parties. It is by default very difficult to earn profit with a professional setup of an industry level. Some of the mandatory requirements like water treatment and harvesting facilities in the industry require an investment of money by the industry itself. Then comes industries. An industry is a much systematic format of working and earning profits. Thus, it is victimized the most in the legal cases in a very systematic manner. Well, being aware of this fact now, what do we feel about the reason behind our perception before about water allocation? So, the misconception, a layman is not a researcher. He or she consumes such a piece of information through the mainstream media, that too in a format of entertainment. Though most of the facts are understood that we all eat vegetables in some way or other, and it is obvious that any plant needs water to grow. We often hear news about farmers suffering from the loss due to less rainfall in some specific year. We also witness to ourselves that there is hardly any year has gone in records without a single rain. But we need some agricultural facts to be enlightened here for a better understanding of a layman. The most consumed crop, like wheat, rice, and maize, requires a lot of water for proper irrigation. Less rainfall is insufficient to fulfill those requirements, which may lead to a heavy loss to a farmer over the ruined crop. For the past few decades, the government has guided farmers to equip with efficient technology for farming, irrigation, and pesticides. Also, new exclusive money related schemes and services have been offered to farmers for farmers. Still, it is very beneficial to accept that most of the farmers are less educated and they do not trust new schemes or technologies. Also, they speak in local dialects and can't communicate efficiently in a proper legally accepted language which they can speak, read, and write all together. Also, still in most part of India, the flood irrigation technique is in practice, which is the most inefficient method of irrigation yet. Many farmers who are poor and lack the latest technologies to seed the fields, irrigate them, and cut the crops do it all manually or with the help of some cattle like cows and buffaloes till today. Thus, whenever the rain happens, it is overall a very emotional experience for them, to which they were involved mentally, economically, and physically, of course. The farmers do not trust the latest schemes and policies by the government, to which the recent protest by farmers on 26th January 2021 is an example itself. Most of them are not literate enough to understand the language of law and hence are easily misguided and misled by anyone superior to them in terms of knowledge of law or politics. A farmer is independent when he or she understands their rights and duties in a very understandable language. But since they have a third person, mostly a middleman, in communication between them and the government, which they may locally assign as their leader who actually misled them. Farmers protest on 26 January 2021. A study or the research is okay until it is merely data, but when it is related to yourself personally, it is really hard to accept a low scored scorecard for anybody. Thus, for my suggestion over this issue is farmers should also educate themselves about water usage so they may keep doing their job, but not with a bigger perspective. With a little more effort, they may achieve hassle-free trading of crops with a contribution to the environment as well. Researchers and students are not studying against them, so they may discuss with water researchers and both physical and social scientists whenever it is possible about case studies of worldwide accepted adaptations in policies and farming techniques by farmers. Yes, I am a Himachali Indian and I do not smoke pot. One of my major concerns about the farmers or the landlords in rural areas with land capable of farming is that apart from crops like maize, corn, barley, rice, etc., not the government is approving the agriculture of marijuana in Indian states like the Uttarakhand and now even in Himachal Pradesh for medical purposes. Marijuana or cannabis for the kind of information of most, I must clarify that marijuana is categorized in the low intensity grade of hallucinating drugs, which is illegal to grow, consume and or sell in most parts of the world, including in India, for a long time ago. With many debates and arguments, marijuana every time won the battle over its health benefits claimed by some researchers in favor of legalizing it. Just like any other illegal drug, it is hallucinating and is not recommended to consume while doing work that requires extreme concentration, like driving a car, riding a motorcycle, handling hazardous electrical equipment, or inflammable substances. Also, it doesn't become a bad habit at a time and becomes really hard to quit. This drug is most popular in youngsters and thus sold and purchased by mostly themselves worldwide illegally. Many get arrested and ruin their entire lives and careers in the field charge of drug consumption or drug peddling. The reason for this fact is most of the parents take this topic more like a taboo. Teaching your young adolescents about drug abuse is as important as it is about safe sex and pregnancy. Future of marijuana crop cultivation in India. Now, some of my concerns about the farmers are if the marijuana gets legalized somehow in India to be cultivated and to be sold freely with a government license are as follow. Number one, marijuana requires a lot of water to irrigate it, and we have already mentioned the inefficient technologies being used for irrigation by farmers presently. Thus, growing marijuana won't be an environmentally favorable thing to do commercially. Number two, Ultimately, government is seeking profits more than tea, coffee, or cash crops like maize, rice, and barley in marijuana. Also, selling it with economically brings more profit to the farmers, so they will do it happily. But on the consumer's end, later in the future, indicates related to ill consequences of marijuana consumption occurs, then similar action will be repeated to ban marijuana once again. It was banned for some valid reasons we are totally ignoring. Okay, state of Himachal Pradesh versus the United States of America. Now, being myself a Himachali, another concern arises since my state of Himachal Pradesh has already some set of rules and regulations that no outsider from Himachal Pradesh can buy land in Himachal Pradesh and can trade from here, which is not certainly a case for Uttarakhand. And apparently, the state is being destroyed for commercial use. Well, these harsh rules at some point were made on the basis of some really valid reasons related to the ecological environment and conservation of natural resources. Himachal Pradesh is yet no less famous worldwide for the cultivation of marijuana without legalizing to grow it, which is termed as an unscrutinized, widely grown weed plant. Taking the reference of a case study in the United States, where the whole fields are burnt and bombed to destroy the crops, which legally are banned and termed as high intensity drugs in the USA. This may not become a case in our most beloved state of Himachal Pradesh. It is my a little concern. Though I suggest the state of Uttarakhand should also take some steps to avoid commercialization and risk out for such cases faced by international farmers before. International farmers I'm talking about. So it is not just about Indian farmers. So, one big reason for fear or phobia of farmers protesting for losing their lands could be this: their land may be seized by the government to grow illegal crops intentionally for selling. In that case, the state has a right to avoid the occurrence of illegal activities as such, no matter in private land. So, my suggestion here is that farmers keep growing what they used to grow for their living and not fall for such honey traps, even if the government allows them to grow marijuana in their land for more profits. Marijuana might have certain health benefits, but still, from birth till death, we very much trust the medical system of diagnosis and medicines, just like our corona vaccines. Those are made in India, which is very quick and saves lives in fractions of a second. Marijuana kind of a plant needs to develop a lot of trust till it proves all valid points invalid in the present era on the basis of which it was made illegal worldwide. And yeah, we can always go for a short vacation to countries where marijuana is legal. Those countries have very different economical, ecological, and geographical conditions than ours. So we may think globally and should not let our government go spoilt for the day till it may capture lands the way the US did. The ban, there's a documentary on this. If you guys have not seen that, you please watch it. The ban on tobacco in Himachal Pradesh. Taking Talking of marijuana, another cash crop is taboo. Tobacco, sorry. Now we are talking about tobacco. Okay, coming back to, because it is one of the most famous cash crop in India, and there are a lot of consumers of uh, tobacco in India, and that is the a bigger portion from the indirect tax the consumers pay, and that's how that's why it is being grown and sold. So I'm talking about it. Talking of marijuana, another cash crop is tobacco, which is now mostly imported in India from countries like Indonesia. India has faced a huge drop in the charts of tobacco consumers since the previous century, with continuous advertisements in public interest played prior to any cinematographic film shown in the movie theaters and various other means of promoting the no smoking zones by the local state governments. This change has become a modern day reality that the young generation is getting health conscious and avoiding such toxic substances to consume. Tobacco is also a mild drug with a much more dependency on its consumer. Nicotine is a substance that is highly addictive and enforces its customer to keep consuming it over and over, which leads to severe damage to consumers' health. The Indian rolled cigarettes, namely the BD, is a very popular and cheaply available source of burning tobacco. With the recent set norms by the government, sorry, the selling package has a statutory warning in various languages and an image of a lot of smokers and tobacco chewers are getting discouraged to adopt or carry on the bad habit of chewing and tobacco and smoking tobacco. With the latest guidelines, all tobacco selling companies, provided their tobacco product being locally made or exported from outside of India, have to compulsorily maintain a proportion of 10% branding and other information, whereas 90% of statutory warning with a graphical image of affected person with tobacco abuse. I personally got discouraged to smoke tobacco after such an initiative taken by the government. Moreover, on the industrial scale, now the tobacco has been made illegal to be grown in Himachal Pradesh commercially. Also, smoking in public is a punishable offense. Thus, all smokers will have to pay more to buy imported cigarettes, and it may discourage overconsumption of the substance and might avoid ill consequences of tobacco consumption. Still, locally made BD and first copy, that is the duplicate of popular international brand, is widely manufactured and sold in various parts of India through some unidentified underground network and market. Yet the customer is God for the seller, so he or she can bring a change to bring a decrease in the demand and thus in the supply. Save water, save lives, stay safe, and think about the future also. And just like Modi ji just said, march to future. So here we are coming to a common point. And this is written by me, Chanakya Shukla. So I will not give a reaction on it. It is first time I'm reading it and making it public by recording it through this audio which I'm speaking. So these are my thoughts: the freshwater allocation system and farmers and future of marijuana crop cultivation in Indian farmers. So that's how the scenario is, and a little bit which I can explain in brief that Indian farmers, they need to upgrade in the form of education. They are very good in experience, but let's talk about qualification education. It is not that education which you require to get a government job, which I have already covered. We are not talking about that. We are talking about you should also know about the governance. You should be there with these researchers so that a farmer will be studying with these people, or maybe you can attend some workshops. Maybe you can study some, take some diploma and certificate course. That's an investment on yourself. I would highly recommend to get enrolled in a Terry University and do a little bit research and study there. Fees is, as you can say, see, it is available here, but you already, farmers also invest in equipments like tractor and others, for they take loans for other things as well, right? So for a longer future, They should invest in their education also. Education will never leave you. Nobody can steal that from you, and it will help you in long run. And that creates a network of educated people all together, so that whatever is happening, this protest outside, this won't happen. What they are doing, that is really stupid. Like those people who are working, those who are stepping out in the pandemic and risking their lives for to pay the taxes to the government, and that's how works system works internationally. They are working there, and then who to sympathize then? So I would really suggest that farmers should also study. And what is the big misconception they have, that bade log, this Ambani and Adani industrialists are the bad guys? So it is not like that. Industries, they are fighting with the system, they are fighting with the international bodies, they are fighting with all the people who are attacking on them, and they are also trying to be sympathetically and donating for poor farmers. So that is not the case. The allocation system already is giving fresh water, most proportion of it, for the irrigation. So farmers should also upgrade their technology to use less water. Water is precious, that every farmer understand, I think, because I also have some farmers in my uh, in relatives, and though they do not do these cash crops, but still they grow stuff in their fields. They still own some fields, and they grow homegrown stuff there. So they very much understand that water is precious, and what should be the latest technology, they should be upgraded about that, right? And one thing they should, I would suggest that they nearly now or later, they should never get in this honey trap that if somebody will, even if government allows them to grow marijuana, please don't do that. It's not a good thing to do. Others are doing it because they cannot do anything else now. We are here, we have a lot of more possibilities to do. They just have a little bit of land, and what best they can do, they can just allow marijuana, allow parties, and earn money, earn revenue through that. We have a lot more options than uh, just selling drugs, hallucinating drugs to our kids, or to the visitors coming to our India, and they will do externalities, and we have seen who will be responsible for that. So better don't get into that lalach, don't get into that greed. Just be happy in less, and take small steps, and uh, slow and steady wins the race. I hope you understand this saying. Enough said. Have written this paper on 1st April, but this is not related to April Fool thing. This makes sense, and I am not a layman. See, I hold some qualification, and I think you will find sense in my speech, which I just said. So I will conclude my video right now, because in Delhi and NCR, be it Gurgaon, Noida, farmers are going crazy. If my message can be delivered to them in some way possible, because YouTube will not recognize my Hindi speech. That's why I'm speaking in English, so that the AI can also understand. So it will be available in the that caption, automatic caption there. That's why I'm speaking in English. And since international pop stars are also talking about this, like Rihanna, they are talking about that what is going on with your farmers. So uh, let's. That's why I'm talking in English, just to keep the conversation in a communicative communicative page. Yeah. Uh, Rest. They don't have to worry, and I'm no one to comment on who is farmer, who is not. But if you are farmer, go to the fields and farm. And if you are a protester, then you are doing protest. Just like a similar thing happened with musicians also, I guess few months back. Like there was a fight between the record labels and the artist. So man, if you are an artist, create art. If you're a musician, release another song. Don't stick to that argument just for the publicity. And being myself an independent record label also, and independent artist also, so I can understand both parts. And apart from that, I study this stuff, so I can talk about it. Hmm. So nice talking to you guys. I hope you will have a good time me talking about some serious issues like this, because it is really a serious issue. I am concerned with farmers, yes, and I'm talking about it. And I cannot say that the teen kanun that they'll take back or give it back. I think farmers should first understand what they are having problem, and what are the benefits. There's always things with the comes with the pros and cons. Okay, so there will be some benefits also. Benefits like insurance. Earlier, kisans, these farmers, they were committing suicides. That is a heavy loss. That should not happen, I must say. I mean, life mein kuch bhi ho jaye, that should never be an option. And in fact, if you're talking about laws, then constitution section number 21, Constitution of India, Republic of India, section number 21, which abides you. I'll show you what it is. I should not talk much, I should show you. Section 21, Constitution of India. What it says, Article 21. Wait, I should share the screen now. Yeah. Article 21 of Constitution of India protects of life and personal liberty. Article 21 states that no person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty except according to a procedure established by law. Thus, Article 21 secures two rights: right to life and right to personal liberty. So, personal liberty, to yaar, you are creating problem for others, inconvenience for others. That is that they are also having this right, right? But no, I will highly discourage the suicides by the farmers. So, and this suicide things, I guess listening since 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, when I was doing my BTech degree 10 years back. So a lot of change. Some politicians, some researchers might have come to some conclusion. No, so first discuss. And as a this thing with such revolts and something like creating problem for others, this thing will not work, I guess. And in my classmate, I was not the only student who was studying. There was a student from Uttar Pradesh, there was a student from Gurgaon, there was a student from South India, from Karnataka, from Tamil Nadu, from Kanpur, from Delhi, and from Mumbai. So they were multidisciplinary people studying with me water science and governance. So we used to have such debates. We used to meet the people from the board, Jal board, and different water laws. So you should also study these water laws. What are the treaties? What are the laws? And recently, I've seen that farmers are disturbing the army people, people, and this is, don't do that, sir. That will not help anybody. This is not entertainment. This is not entertainment, right? Some things are really serious and should be uh, addressed very seriously, right? Yeah. So I wish a good health to everybody, be it an Indian farmer or an international farmer. Learn from each other's case studies, and that's how we evolve, right? अपना ख्याल रखो सबके सब, and that's what I would say and conclude this video, right? Adios.